की जाय। श्री गोविंद गोपीनाथ मदन मोहन जू की जाय। नित्यल्लभ विष्णु विष्णुपार अष्टोत्तर शत शिशुमार भक्तिवेदांत नारायण गोसाई महाराज श्री गुरुदेव की जाय। नित्यल्लभ विष्णु विष्णुपार अष्टोत्तर शत शिशुमार भक्तिवेदांत वामन गोसाई महाराज की जाय। नित्यल्लभ विष्णु विष्णुपार अष्टोत्तर शत शिशुमार भक्ति प्रज्ञान केश श्रील भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी महाराज श्रील प्रभुपाद की जाय। नित्यल्लभ विष्णु विष्णुपाद अष्टोत्तर शत शिशुमार भक्ति प्रज्ञान केशव गोसाई महाराज की जाय। नित्यल्लभ विष्णु विष्णुपाद अष्टोत्तर शत शिशुमार श्रील भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोसाई प्रभुपाद की जाय। नित्यल्लभ विष्णु महाभागवत श्रील गोक्षरस बाबूजी महाराज की जाय। नित्यल्लभ विष्णु श्रील सच्चिदानंद भक्ति विनोद ठाकुर की जाय। नित्यल्लभ विष्णु वैष्णव सार्वभौम श्री जगन्नाथ दास बाबूजी महाराज की जाय। श्री रूपानुग गौरिया गुरु वर्ग की जाय। श्री रूप सनातन भट्ट रघुनाथ श्री जीव गोपाल भट्टदास रघुनाथ शारद गोसाई प्रभु की जाय। श्री स्वरूप दामोदर राय रामानंदारी श्री गौर प्रसाद वृंद की जाय। नाम आचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जाय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासरी गौर भक्त वृंद की जाय। श्री क्षेत्र मंडल गौर मंडल व्रज मंडल मथुरा वृंदावन धाम की जाय। सर्व अभिष्ट प्रदाति गिरिराज महाराज की जाय। श्री राधा कुंद श्याम कुंद की जाय। श्री यमुना देवी गंगा देवी की जाय। श्री तुलसी महारानी वृंद देवी की जाय। श्री भक्ति देवी की जाय। श्री पूर्णमासी योगमाय की जाय। श्री गोपेश्वर महादेव की जाय। श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जाय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जाय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जाय। श्री उद्धव गीता की जाय। श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जाय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जाय। श्री निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। ॐ ज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। नमो ॐ विष्णुपदाय राधिकाय प्रियात्मने श्रीमद्भक्तिवेदान्त नारायणेति नामिने। नमो ॐ विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनेति नामिने। वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नाम्ने गौरत्विषे नमः। गुरवे गौरचन्द्राय राधिकायै तदालये कृष्णाय कृष्णभक्ताय तद्भक्ताय नमो नमः। यं प्रव्रजन्तमनुपेतमपेतकृत्यं द्वैपायनो विरहकातर आजुहाव पुत्रेति तन्मयतया तरवोऽभिनेदुस्तं सर्वभूतहृदयं मुनिमानतोऽस्मि। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। शृण्वतं स्वकथा कृष्ण पुण्यश्रवणकीर्तन हृदन्तस्थो ह्यभद्राणि विधुनोति सुहृत्सतं। नष्टप्रायेष्वभद्रेषु नित्यं भगवत सेवया भगवत्युत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठकी। तवैवास्मि तवैवास्मि न जीवामि त्वया विना इति विज्ञाय राधे त्वां नायमां चरणान्तिकं। भक्त्या विहीन अपराधलक्षाय क्षिप्ताष्टकामादितरङ्गमध्ये कृपामयि त्वां शरणं प्रपन्न Vrinde namaste charanāravindam. Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Haribol, Surevi Didi, and Satya Mataji, Dandavat Pranams, Rup Manjari, and Nitai. Yeah, I'm also not looking forward. This is the most disturbing part of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Haribol, Raseshwari Mataji, and Gargarajji, Dandavat Pranam. Haribol, Kishore Prabhu. Okay, Kishore is sharing a verse. Bhagavata Tulasi Gangaya Bhakti Jane Chatur Vigraha Krishna E Charisane. Wherever Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Tulsi Devi, the Ganges, and the devotees are found, Lord Krishna is always present there. Thank you for sharing that. Really nice. All right, so, just letting you know, I am really out of it because I fasted yesterday. I did end up drinking a little bit of water, but I didn't eat anything, and so I'm kind of, I don't know, really spacey and kind of, yeah. Anyhow. All right, so now we are actually going to finish Uddhava-gītā today. Yesterday I wasn't able to finish the last 5 verses, and then we'll see how far we get in the next chapter. I was thinking maybe we could do 11 verses, but it's already really late now, so maybe let's read the recap here from Bhagavad Pravaha. Okay. Okay, so in the previous chapter, Krishna instructed Uddhava on Jnana Yoga. And he said at the end, understanding the all-pervasiveness of the one and only absolute truth, one should refute one's misidentification with matter and cut this false ego with the sword of knowledge, sharpened by bhakti. One must live in this world free from all attachment until all contamination of the mind is eliminated. Once such a platform is achieved, the yogi is never defeated by any obstacles. But the path of Jnana Yoga is difficult, so now Uddhava is asking. One second. Yeah, the path of Jnana is very difficult, so Uddhava asks Krishna, kindly explain some simple method, easy to execute, for attaining supreme perfection. Krishna concluded with his final instructions on bhakti as follows. Always remembering me, perform all duties for me with mind and intelligence offered to me. Take shelter of holy places and be guided by the exemplary activities of my devotees. Celebrate the holy days by devotional singing and dancing. With a pure heart, see me to be both unblemished by anything material and also present everywhere. One who sees me in all living entities and offers due respect to everyone is considered actually wise. Till then, one must continue to worship my deity with speech, mind, and body. I recommend bhakti to be the best possible method of spiritual enlightenment. Since I have personally established it, this process is transcendental, free from material motivations, and certainly there is no loss on this path. This process is of supreme intelligence. And diligence, for by following it, one can in this very life attain me. Hearing the elaborate teachings of Krishna that establish the supremacy of Bhakti Yoga, Uddhava gratefully offered his prayers. Then Krishna instructed Uddhava to go to Badrika, assuring him that he would soon come back to him. Uddhava circumambulated Krishna, fell at his lotus feet, and drenched his feet with tears. Greatly pained by separation from Krishna, Uddhava honored Krishna's slippers by respectfully placing them upon his head and then departed for Badrika. So let's read the prayers that Uddhava made after Krishna gave those instructions. And then we'll go through the last 5 verses. Shukadeva Goswami said, having been instructed by Lord Sri Krishna about the complete path of yoga, Uddhava, his voice choked due to ecstatic love and his eyes filled with tears, folded his hands and stood silently, unable to say anything. O king, with great patience, Uddhava pacified his mind, which was agitated by ecstatic love. Feeling most grateful to Lord Krishna, the greatest hero of the Yadu dynasty, he bowed down to touch the lotus feet of the Lord with his head and then spoke with folded hands. Uddhava said, O primeval Lord, I was born in the darkness of ignorance, but by your merciful association, my delusion is now dispelled. For one who stands in the sunlight, how can cold, darkness, or fear continue to oppress him? As reciprocation for my surrender at your lotus feet, you have mercifully illuminated me with transcendental knowledge. What devotee of yours who has any gratitude at all could give up the shelter of your lotus feet and accept another master? With a desire to increase the population, you extended the rope of my affection towards the Dasharhas, Andakas, Vrishnis, and Yadavas. But today, you have cut that rope with the weapon of transcendental knowledge. O greatest of mystic yogis, I offer my obeisances unto you. Please instruct me who am surrendered unto you, so that I may have unflinching attachment for your lotus feet. So that's where we read up to yesterday, and now, right? Actually, no, we read this also. I remember reading this. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, my dear Uddhava, follow my order and go to Badrika. Purify yourself by bathing and performing achman with the water that has emanated from my lotus feet. Free yourself of all sinful reactions by having darshan of the sacred Alakananda river. Dress yourself in tree bark and eat the fruit and roots that are easily available in the forest. Thus you should remain self-satisfied and free of all desires, tolerant of all dualities, good-natured, self-controlled, peaceful, and endowed with transcendental knowledge and realization. With fixed attention, constantly contemplate these instructions that I have imparted to you, and thus assimilate their essence. Fix your mind and words upon me, and in this way you will be able to surpass the influence of the 3 modes of material nature and finally come back to me. Okay, so we're reading from this point on. Shri Shuka Uvacha Sa eva mukto harime dasodhava pradakshinam tang parishrita padayo shiro nidhaya shukalabhirardradhir nyashincharad advandva paropyapakrame. Shukadeva Goswami said, after being thus instructed by the supremely intelligent Lord Sri Krishna, Uddhava circumambulated him and then bowed down to offer his obeisances, placing his head upon the lotus feet of the Lord. Although Uddhava was free from the influence of all material dualities, he became afflicted by feelings of separation, so that he drenched the Lord's lotus feet with his tears. Sārārtha-darśinī commentary by Śrīla Viśvanātha Cakravartī Ṭhākura. Shukadeva Goswami said, after receiving instructions from Sri Krishna, Uddhava, whose heart was always filled with ecstatic love for the Lord, felt great lamentation due to impending separation, and thus he shed incessant tears. Kishore felt the same this morning. Sadustyaja sneha viyoga kataro na shaknuvangstam parihata Gritran yayo murdhani bhartripaduke bibhran namaskritya yayo puna puna. Greatly fearing separation from the Lord, for whom he felt such great affection, Uddhava was distraught, so that he could not give up the Lord's association. Finally, feeling great agony, he repeatedly bowed down to the Lord, placed his wooden shoes upon his head, and departed. Sārārtha-darśinī. The Lord mercifully extended his lotus feet to Uddhava, who clasped them with great love and devotion, and placed them on his head. Thereafter, Uddhava left for Badarikāśrama in order to carry out the mission of the Supreme Lord. It is said in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 3.4.5 that while Uddhava was going to Badarikāśrama, he heard that the Lord had traveled to Prabhas. Uddhava then retraced his steps so that he could find Lord Kṛṣṇa, and it so happens that he came to where the Lord was sitting alone after the annihilation of the Yadu dynasty. Uddhava was once again instructed by the Lord, and after his transcendental understanding was reawakened, on the order of the Lord he again departed for Badarikāśrama. And we read about that in the beginning of this 11th canto, didn't we? Tatastam antar hridi sanniveshya kato mahabhagavato vishalam yato padishtam jagareka bandhuna tapasamastaya harer agad katim. Thereafter, the exalted devotee Uddhava placed Sri Kṛṣṇa upon the lotus of his heart and went to Badarikāśrama. By engaging in austerities, he attains the Lord's eternal abode, which had been described to him by the only friend of the conditioned souls, Lord Kṛṣṇa. Sārārtha-darśinī. The word Virachandra Vishalam refers to Badarikāśrama. After residing there, Uddhava attains the eternal abode of the Lord in the spiritual sky, Dwarka. Ya etad ananda samudra sambhritam jnanamritam bhagavataya bhashitam Krishnena yogeshvara sevita grina satshraddhaya sevya jagar vimuchyate. Thus, Lord Kṛṣṇa, whose lotus feet are served by all the great masters of yoga, spoke to his devotee this transcendental knowledge, which comprises the entire ocean of spiritual ecstasy. Anyone who receives this narration with great faith and devotion is assured of liberation in the very near future. Haribo! Anyone who receives this narration with great faith and devotion is assured of liberation in the very near future. Sārārtha-darśinī. If one faithfully hears this conversation between the Lord and his devotee, which is like an ocean of bliss, he becomes a fit candidate for executing loving devotional service of the Lord. To the Lord, right? Indeed, by his association, the entire world can become engaged in the service of the Lord. Gaudiya Bhashya commentary by Śrīla Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada. By faithfully serving the devotees of the Supreme Lord, one can attain freedom from material bondage and engagement in the devotional service of the Supreme Lord. Bhava bhayam apahantum jnana vigyan. No. What's the meter for this? Okay, I got it. Bhava bhayam apahantum jnana vijnana saram nigama kridupajahre bringavar vedasaram amritamudaditash sorry amritamudaditash chapayayad pritavargan purusham rishabhamadhyam Kṛṣṇa samgyam natosmi. I offer my obeisances unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the origin of everything, Lord Sri Krishna. He is the author of the Vedas, and just to destroy his devotees' fear of material existence, like a bee, he collected the essence of all knowledge and self-realization, and then awarded it to his devotees, who, by his mercy, have drunk it. Sārārtha-darśinī. To conclude this chapter, Sri Shukadeva Goswami offers his obeisances to the spiritual master of the whole universe, Sri Krishna. It is Krishna who turns the Vedas to extract the essence. Other philosophers have also tried to extract the essence from the Vedic literature, but without knowing the confidential purport of the Vedas, being devoid of implicit faith in the Supreme Lord. Wait, that didn't seem like a full sentence. Oh, they tried to do it, but without knowing the confidential purport of the Vedas. They tried to extract the essence, but they didn't know the confidential purport of the Vedas because they're devoid of implicit faith in the Supreme Lord. Sorry about that. Being the author of the Vedas, it is the Supreme Lord who understands their true purpose. The Supreme Lord, like a bee, collected honey from the garden of Vedic flowers and distributed it to his devotees. However, while favoring the devotees, the Lord has simultaneously cheated the non-devotee demons. For example, during the churning of the ocean, the Lord took the pot of nectar after assuming the form of Mohini and then distributed it to the demigods, while tactfully deceiving the demons. Let us bow down to that Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna. Gaudiya Bhashya. Maybe this is the last Gaudiya Bhashya. Yes, it is. Okay, so this is the end of Śrīla Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Ṭhākura's commentary that we'll be reading, and we'll continue reading his commentaries for Chaitanya Bhagavat, and beginning Chaturmasya. So this isn't the end forever, but for now, for a while. Okay, Sri Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, without beginning and without end. As the Supreme Instructor, he removes the living entity's fear of repeated birth and death. He mercifully distributes love of himself, which is the essence of all Vedic knowledge, to all conditioned souls who are otherwise averse to his service. He is the compiler of the Vedic literature, and he distributed its essence to the swan-like Vaishnavas. It is the foremost duty of all living entities to surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, giving up all varieties of religiosity. Thus ends the translation of the 23rd chapter of the Uddhava-gītā, entitled Bhakti Yoga, with the commentaries, with the Sārārtha-darśinī commentary of Śrīla Viśvanātha Cakravartī Ṭhākura, and the Kathasar by Śrīla Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj under Śrīla Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Ṭhākura, and the Gaudiya Bhashya by Śrīla Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada. End of Uddhava-gītā. Shri Uddhava-gītā ki jai. Grantaraj Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai. Shri Krishna Chandra ki jai. Shri Uddhava-ji ki jai. Śrīla Viśvanātha Cakravartī Ṭhākura Sārārtha-darśinī Vritti ki jai. Śrīla Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada. Gaudiya Bhashya ki jai. Shri Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo. All right, so now we've officially completed it. Uddhava-gītā. Let's see, then there's a glossary. All right, so now we will continue on with the second to the last chapter of the 11th canto, the disappearance of Kṛṣṇa. I don't think we're going to read about the disappearance just yet, though, because we won't have time to finish the chapter. All right, everybody, let's do this. Chapter 30, the disappearance of Kṛṣṇa. One sec, I just need to drink some water. Okay. Śrīla Tato Mahabhagavata Uddhave nirgate vanam Dvaravatyam kimakaror Bhagavan bhuta bhavana. King Parikshit said, after the great devotee Uddhav left for the forest, what did the Supreme Lord, the protector of all living beings, do in the city of Dwarka? Sārārtha-darśinī commentary by Śrīla Viśvanātha Cakravartī Ṭhākura. In the 30th chapter, the Lord has the Devata portions of the Yadus go to Prabhas, and then he withdraws them from the world and sends them to Swarga, while he, in his expansion, goes to Vaikuntha. Brahma shapo pasangsrishte swakule yadavarshava preyasing sarvanetranam tanum sa khatamatyajat. After his dynasty met destruction from the curse of the Brahmanas, how could the best of the Yadus give up his body, the dearest object of all eyes? Sārārtha-darśinī. When his dynasty was destroyed, how did the Lord give up his body, which was most dear for all, even for Shiva? It is heard that some sages maintain that the Lord actually gave up his body. How is that possible? This is not possible at all, since it is impossible that the Lord could give up a body which is full of eternity, knowledge, and bliss, which is composed of eternity, knowledge, and bliss. How can a true Brahman give up his position of being a Brahmana? It is not possible. Sa visheshane vidinishedho visheshanam upasankramataha sati visheshe badhe. Statements of affirmation and denial change the meaning of their particular descriptive elements if there's a contradiction to the principal subject. That's from the Nyaya-Vartika Tatparya by Vachaspati Mishra. In this sentence, it states that the Lord gave up a body which was dear to him. That means he gave up his dynasty manifested on earth. Another example is as follows. A traveler gave up a gold pot full of water. This means that the traveler poured the water out of the pot because of fatigue due to the weight and carried the empty gold pot. Pratyakrashtam nayanam abala yatra lagnam Pratyakrashtam nayanam abala yatra lagnam nasheko karna vishtam na sarasati tato yat satam. No, I don't know what the meter is for this. Give me a second, let me just find it. It is 11:30. I don't know what number that is. 33. Okay, let's see what the meter is. Pratyakrashtam nayanamapala yatra lag. Okay, got it. Pratyakrashtam nayanamapala yatra lagnam nasheko karnavishtam nasarati tato yatsatam atmalagnam yachirvacham janayati ratim Kim no manam kavinam drishtva what's that? Okay. Drishtva jishnor yudiratagatam yachcha tat samyamiyu. Once their eyes were fixed upon his transcendental form, the women were unable to withdraw them. And once that form had entered the ears of the sages and became fixed in their hearts, it would never depart. What to speak of acquiring fame? The great poets who have described the beauty of the Lord's form would have their words invested with joy. And by seeing that form on Arjuna's chariot, all the warriors on the battlefield of Kurukshetra attains liberation. Sārārtha-darśinī. This verse shows that he could not give up his body. The eternal wives like Rukmini could not withdraw their eyes, which were attracted to his form. That form entered the ears of the Atmarama sages like you. That form entered the ears of the sages like you, through their ears, and remains there like a picture, and would not go away. The beauty of that form, described by poets like Vyas, produced special joy in their words. Seeing that form on Arjuna's chariot in battle, the soldiers attained Sayujya. That body was directly Brahman, beyond the gunas. By seeing a material form, one cannot attain Sayujya. The personified Vedas say, Nibhrita marun mano Shadrida yoga yujo hridi yan munaya upasate tararayo piyayu smaranat. Simply by constantly thinking of him, the enemies of the Lord attains the same supreme truth whose sages fixed in yoga worship by controlling their breath, mind, and senses. It's from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 10:87-23. Nor would I don't understand. Nor would Atma Ramas remain attached to a material form, nor would the Lord's eternal wives, such as Lakshmi, Ladini Shaktis, be attached to a material form. Therefore, the sages who describe that the Lord gave up his body are bewildered by the Lord's Maya. Shirishiruvāca Devi bhuvantarikshe cha mahotpatan samutitan drishtvasinam sudharmayam Kṛṣṇa praha yadun idam. Shukadeva Goswami said, having observed many disturbing signs in the sky, on the earth, and in outer space, Lord Kṛṣṇa addressed the Yadus assembled in the Sudharma Council. He addressed the Yadus assembled in the Sudharma Council Hall as follows. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Ete Ghora Mahotpata Dvarvatyam Yamaketava Muhurtam Apinasteyam Atra no Yadupungava. The Supreme Lord said, O leaders of the Yadu dynasty, please note all these terrible omens that have appeared in Dwarka, just like the flags of death. We should not remain here a moment longer. Sārārtha-darśinī. Internally, the Lord thought as follows. Among all the persons who came to meet me from various places during the trip to Kurukshetra, Kali came unnoticed by others, and he spoke to me. O Master, when will I take charge of the earth? I said, you can take charge only when my pastimes are over. After I disappear, with the right given by me, Kali will pervade the earth. However, during my present appearance, Dharma has increased to 4 legs, even greater than in Satya Yuga. If Dharma is so strong, how can Kali rule? The rule is that Kali will rule when there is only one leg of Dharma remaining. One should not say that when I disappear, then the four legs of Dharma will also disappear. On the logic of nimittapaye naimittikasyapyapaya, which means when the cause disappears, the effects disappear. So according to that logic, since the devatas of great fame, purifiers of the whole world, I don't understand what this is saying. One should not say that when I disappear, then the four legs of Dharma will also disappear. On this logic, when the cause disappears, the effects disappear, since the devatas of great fame, purifiers of the whole world, remain alert. Anyways. Moreover, I have destroyed the unfavorable among the population of favorable. I have destroyed the unfavorable among the population of favorable, unfavorable, and neutral parties. Okay, among the favorable, unfavorable, and neutral parties, I have destroyed the unfavorable. Now, if I ascend to Vaikuntha with all the inhabitants of my abode, in sight of all persons, as Ram did, the favorable devotees will double in number. Those who are already intensely favorable will increase their prem 100-fold out of great longing and prem, and those who are neutral will become devotees on seeing this extraordinary event. Dharma will thus increase. How will even a little influence of Kali be possible? By what method will I increase adharma in order to restrict dharma? Here's the method. I will remain as I do now in Dwarka with the Yadus, who are my associates in pastimes, but I'll become invisible to the eyes of all material people. The devatas, who are vibhutis, such as Cupid and Kartikeya, have entered into my eternal associates like Pradyumna and others. By my power of yoga, I will withdraw them from those bodies without others noticing. Making some fake forms for the eyes of ordinary people, which appear to be Pradyumna and others, I will have them go to Prabhas with the other inhabitants of Dwarka, and have them drink wine after meditating and giving charity, and send them to Svarga according to their individual qualification as devotees. I, in another form, will depart for Vaikuntha with the other inhabitants of Dwarka, as Ram did. The root forms of Kṛṣṇa and his associates remained in Dwarka invisibly. Okay. But I will let the common people see the influence of Maya. They will think that the Yadus left Dwarka once to Prabhas with all the Yadu dynasty, and under the control of the Brahman's curse, drank wine and gave up their bodies after killing each other. They will think that the Lord, along with Balaram, giving up a human body, ascended to the spiritual abode. Thus, they will say that my body was temporary, made of matter. One second, I just need to drink some water. Thinking I have a material body is a great offense. I have said, Avajananti mam mura manusham tanum ashritam. The fools deride me, thinking that I have a material form. That's in Bhāgavad-gītā 9:11. I have described the result. Okay, so I've described the results for those who think that my body is material. Mogasha mogakarmano mogagyana vichetasa rakshasim asurim chaiva prakritim mohinim shritaha. Among those who cannot distinguish this truth, those who are devotees do not gain salokya, those who are karmis do not attain their material fruits, and those who are jnanis do not attain liberation. They assume the nature of rakshasas and asuras. That's in that's in Bhagavad-gītā, chapter 9, verse 12. If the devotees think in this way, their desire to attain me will be futile. If the karmis think in this way, they cannot attain svarga. If the jnanis think in this way, they cannot attain liberation. they become Rakshasas. Some will think that the Supreme Lord has a temporary body because of seeing that all others have temporary bodies. Some bodies live a long time and others a short time. Others will claim that just as the Kurus all died, Krishna died with his family at Prabhas. By people's hearing, speaking, and praising such preaching of wrong ideas by idiots who think they are learned, immediately one leg of Dharma will remain. Just as eyes afflicted with jaundice see a shining white conch to be yellow, people whose minds and eyes are afflicted by Maya will see my departure pastimes, which are actually eternity, knowledge, and bliss, to be afflicted by material misfortune. They will see and conclude that I gave up my body along with all associates like Pradumna, and that the queens like Rukmini were burned in the funeral fire. Not only the materialists will see this, even persons like Arjuna will see this by my divine will. Sages like Vaishampayan and Parashar will describe this in their works. And Shiva, my devotee, taking birth in Kali Yuga, will preach this in a commentary of the Vedanta Sutras in order to spread Kali's influence. Persons with no intelligence repeatedly studying the sutras will explain the meaning according to that commentary. Shukshmo ya karanopadir maya ke neka shaktiman sa eva bhagavad deha. The body of the Lord, possessing unlimited powers, is a subtle covering of Maya on Brahman. Thinking in this way, with the idea of producing great disturbance, the Lord spoke this verse, expressing fear and agitation. Is there any fear of the Lord being cruel in this plan? For those other than devotees, at the time of ripening of their bad karmas, their unfortunate path would manifest anyway. The will of the Lord alone is the cause of the good and bad karmas manifesting. Otherwise, one could also accuse Buddha of being cruel by telling people to reject the Vedas. The Lord spoke the truth about his pastimes to Uddhava in order to dispel doubts for the devotees' worship. Uddhava said, Ityavadeta hardaya mahyam sa bhagavan para adidesha ravindaksha atmana paramam stitim. When I asked the lotus-eyed Lord what I desired in my heart, he explained to me this supreme decision. That's in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 3.4.19. Stitim means the decision of the Lord concerning the arrangement of his pastimes and the eternal residence of Dwarka. Uddhava also explains the disappearance pastime of the Lord. Pradarshya tapta tapasan avitripta drisham drinam adayantar dadaryastu swabimbam lokalochanam. Uddhava said, the Lord, having shown his form, the center of attraction for all eyes, then took that form and disappeared from the men who had not performed austerities but had attained the Lord's mercy, and who were continually craving a vision of his form. The Lord took that form, which was attractive to all eyes, and disappeared. Another meaning cannot be given to the word bimbam, because in later verses, this refers to the Lord's body. Yanmartya lilao paikam sayoga maya balam darshayata grihitam vismapanam swasya chaso bagardhe parampadam bhushanangam. Oh, my Gurudev quotes this verse a lot. Krishna possesses that form suitable for human pastimes to show the full capacity of his yoga maya. That form astonishes even the Lord of Vaikuntha. It is the pinnacle of auspicious qualities and enhances the beauty of his ornaments. That's Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 3.2.12. Yad dharma sunarpata rajasuye nirikshadrik swastvayayam triloka kartsne nakcha deha gatam vidhatur arvakshito kosalamithya. This is a really long commentary, yeah? At the Rajasuya sacrifice of Yudhishthir, all the people of the universe, seeing the form of the Lord which created auspiciousness in all directions, considered that the skill of the Creator in making the most beautiful objects in the recent universe was nullified completely at that time. That's Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 3:2-13. Krishna's disappearance is compared to the sun, which sets but does not get destroyed. Krishna Dumani Nimloche. Krishna has disappeared like the sun. That's Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 3:2-7. However, eyes covered by Maya will take shelter of wrong philosophy. Uddhava says, Devasya Mayaya Sprishta Ye Chanyar Asarashita Brahmyate Dhir Natar Vyakyar Atmanyutatmano Haro. The intelligence of the devotee who is absorbed in Paramatma is not bewildered by the words of those touched by the Lord's Maya or those who take shelter of a demoniac mentality. That's Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 3:2-10. Those whose eyes are affected by Maya, who are materialistic, who take shelter of the philosophy of material karma, those people will say that Krishna gave up his body. One's intelligence should not be bewildered by their words, such as, Krishna simply obtains the results of his irreligious acts. Whose intelligence should not be affected? The intelligence of the devotee whose mind is absorbed in the Lord should not be bewildered. Here is the evidence showing that the Lord's form, names, abodes, qualities, pastimes, and associates are all eternal. Oops, the C and D are mixed up. Govinda Sachidananda Vigraha Panchapandam Vrindavana Surabhuruha Talashina Satatam Sa Marudganoham Paramaya Stutyato Sayami. I don't know how you're supposed to say that. Anyways, I satisfy with praises along with the Maruts, Govinda, a form of eternity, knowledge, and bliss, 5 feet tall, seated at the base of the desire tree in Vrindavan. It's from Gopal Tapani Upanishad 133. Vasudeva Sankarshana Prajumno Niruddhaham Matsya Kurmo Varaho Narasingha Vamano Ramo Ramo Rama Krishna Buddha Kalkiraham Shatadhaham Sahasradaham Amitoham Anantamam Navaita Jayante Navaite Mriyate Naisham Agyana Baddo Namukti Sarva Eva Hyete Purna Ajara Amrita Paramananda. I didn't know what the meter was for that. Anyways, I am unlimited, immeasurable by 100, by 1,000 times, in the forms of Vasudeva, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, Aniruddha, Matsya, Kurma, Varaha, Nrsimha, Vamana, Rama, Parshuram, Balaram, Krishna, Buddha, and Kalki. These forms are not born and do not die. They do not become bound by ignorance or become liberated. They are all perfect, ageless, deathless, full of compassion, full of supreme bliss. That's from the Chaturveda Shika. Wow, this is a really long purport. Oh my God. Whoa. Okay, I don't know how far we're going to be able to get through this. I lost my spot, dang it. Okay, there. Nirdosha Purna Guna Vigraha Atmatantra Nishchetanatmaka Sharira Gunaishahina Ananda Matra Mukapada Saroruhadi. The Lord's form is faultless and full of perfect qualities. It is independent, devoid of qualities of the material, unconscious bodies. His head, lotus feet, and other limbs are all full of bliss. That's from the Dhyana Bindu Upanishad. Nanda Vraja Janandi Satchidananda Vigraha. Krishna's form is eternity, knowledge, and bliss, and gives bliss to the inhabitants of Vrindavan. That's from the Brahmanda Puran. Sarve Nitya Shashvatascha Dehasya Paramatmana Anupadana Rahita Naiva Prakriti Jagvachit. The Lord's bodies are all eternal, devoid of destructible elements. They do not arise from matter. That's from the Mahavaraha Purana. Yuge Yuge Vishnur Anari Murtim Astaya Shishtam Paripati Dushtaha. Situated in his beginningless form in every yuga, Vishnu protects the devotees and kills the demons. That's from the Narasingha Purana. Yo veti bhautikam deham Krishnasya paramatmana sa sarvasmad bahishkarya shrotasmarta vidanataha mukam tasya avalokyapi sachela snanamacharet. One who thinks that the body of Krishna is material should be excluded from all rites according to the Vedas and Smritis. If one sees his face, one should bathe with one's clothes on. That's from the Vishnu Purana. Nabhuta Sangha Sangstano Dohosya Paramatmana. The Supreme Lord has no faults arising from contact with material elements. That's from the Mahabharata. Amritangso Mrita Vapo. The Lord's body is immortal, made of nectar. That's also from the Mahabharata. Oh, it's 8:30. Okay, well, ends now. Let's just read a little bit more. Shankaracharya in his famous commentary says that this means he who has a body without death. The following verses are proof from the Bhagavatam. Tavat prasanno bhagavan pushkaraksha krite yuge tarshayam asatam kshata shabda brahma dadadavapu. O Vidura, the lotus-eyed Lord, having a body made of eternity, knowledge, and bliss, pleased with Kardama, he showed him his form in Satya Yuga. That's Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 3:21-8. You know what? I think I'm going to stop here because it's 8:31. We will hear, So we will hear the verses of proof from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam tomorrow, and we'll also complete this chapter about the disappearance of Krishna. I'm also feeling really out of it now, so I kind of want to stop this. Okay. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaur Hari Bol. Thanks for sticking with me through all of that, everybody. I was really kind of having a difficult time. Thanks. All right, Jai Shishi Guru Gauranga Gandharvika Giridhari Shishi Radha Vinod Bihari Ju Ki Jai, Shri Govinda Gopinath Madan Mohan Ju Ki Jai, Nityalila Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashata Rashata Shishimad Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Shri Gurudev Ki Jai, Nityalila Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashata Rashata Shishimad Bhakti Vedanta Vaman Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai, Nityalila Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashata Rashata Shishimad Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai, Nityalila Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashata Rashata Shishimad Bhakti Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj ki jai, Nityalila Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashatarashata Shrimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada ki jai, Nityalila Pravishta Maha-Bhagavat Srila Gorkishodas Babaji Maharaj ki jai, Nityalila Pravishta Maha-Bhagavat Srila Gorkishodas Babaji Maharaj. I just said that. Nityalila Pravishta Srila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Ṭhākura ki jai, Nityalila Pravishta Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj ki jai, Shri Rupa Nagogoriya Guru Varga ki jai, Shri Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath, Shri Jiva Gopal Bhatta Das Raghunath Sharda Goswami Prabhu ki jai, Shri Sarup Damodar Rai Ramanandari Shri Gaur Parshad Vrinda ki jai, Namachay Shri Haridas Ṭhākura ki jai, Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Shri Kshetra Mandala, Gaura Mandala, Vraja Mandala, Mathura Vrindavan Dham ki jai, Sarva Abhishta Bharata Giriraj Maharaj ki jai, Shri Radha Kunda Shama Kuni Muna Ganga Tulsi Bhakti Devi ki jai, Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai, Shri Uddhava-gītā ki jai, Uddhava-gītā Path Samapt ki jai, Shri... is there anything today? No, today's just... Tomorrow's Panihati, Dahichira festival. Okay. Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai, Grantaraj Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai, Śrīla Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Gauriya Bhashya ki jai, Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Shri Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo Vrindai Tulsi Devai Priyai Keshavashacha Krishna Bhakti Pradadevi Sattvatai Namo Namaha Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyaiva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Dandavat pranams, everybody. Alright, thanks for sticking with me through all that, and I'll see you all tomorrow. We will also read about the Danda Mahotsav, Nityananda Prabhu punishing Raghunath Das Goswami, and him having to give a whole feast for all the Vaishnavas of flat rice with yogurt and fruits and different things, and also flat rice with condensed milk. So hopefully wherever you are, you'll also have some of that to celebrate the festival. And Jai Shri Radhe.